Many card fighters ask the question, is it worth it to buy stand-up deck sets? What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Alex CFE, and today we are back again. Sorry about the little hiatus. I've been playing a lot, went to BCS, things of that nature, so I'm back on the content grind, so thank you for sticking with me. But if you've ever seen the Tolarian Community College, the professor, he does these videos where he kind of analyzes products and makes sure that, like, is it worth buying it? He kind of gives it a grade at the end, and he approaches it from like a couple different angles. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing over here today, and I do have some numbers to throw at you, and just in general, we're going to go over these products and basically, yeah, are they worth it in general? So let's hop into it right away. Again, if you are interested in purchasing anything that you see in this video, we do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below, absolutely no cost to you. You can shop that link to help support the channel. I definitely appreciate it. So let's hop right in. So starting off with Graham Grace over here, let's go over in general what these decks come with. They're all pretty similar with the exception of the token units. For Orphis, you get like an extra 5 cards in the main deck technically, but you do get a pre-constructed deck of 50 cards. You can rip them right out of the box and play them. Includes 18 different types of cards, and again, if you're new to Vanguard, there's 4 ofs allowed in every single deck of a certain each unique name, so 18 different cards, about 50 cards in general. Expansion pack of 5 cards over here, and this is really the controversial thing, this expansion pack, and I'll kind of compare it a little bit later on. And it includes 5 different cards, 1 copy of each of those cards. You get 1 storage box, so like that big cardboard box you can carry around your stuff, 1 set of 53 card sleeves, and 1 deck holder. The only thing I'm gonna say that they probably could have included, it's not necessary 100%, but could have given like over sleeves, because typically that's what people use when they do have art sleeves in general, but that might be a little cost just to keep in mind in your head. So you do get pretty much the necessities out of the box. What I'm going to do first is kind of talk about the monetary value of each one. And again, same kind of deal. You get the 5 token units, 19 different cards for them, 5 cards, same pack, 5 cards, same pack right there, 50 cards, 18 different cards. But looking at the price of each and every deck individually, this is what I found when I priced it out on TCG Player. I priced them all out individually, went down this list, which we'll discuss the playability and just the viability of all these cards in here, kind of set by set, not one by one, but I'll give you kind of the brief overview and the picture. Is it worth it or not? But I went and just looked at on TCG Player, if I totaled everything out and then added, optimized my cart, make sure I got the cheapest version of everything. Might not be directly from this box set, but if every card that was in here was added to my cart, this is what I arrived at over here. So for Orphis, it looks like I can get everything in this for $67.35. For Graham Grace, $61.21. And for Favernil, it just really wasn't possible for me to actually go and total this out using the same kind of TCG player metrics, and I'll show you why in just a second. But if we go ahead and look at the Graham Grace set, $42.49, so you do have some decent monetary value when you're talking about the price of it. Same thing with oops, do I have Graham Grace over here? I got 2 of the Graham Grace. Let's do Orphis over here, stand up deck set. Let's do Orphis. So looking at the Orphis one, it's $45.40, and then for Favernil, it's actually $42.99. So this is interesting because I don't think any of these prices really correlate to which one's the most playable. So let's kind of get into that. And as we can see, just, you are getting probably the most value out of the Orphis one, but sneakily, I think the Favernil almost might have the best value. So let's just approach this first, and I'll show you why that is. This is kind of a necessary card for this deck over here. It's Favernil Direct Support. This comes in the promo pack, and this is at a 1 of, and there are no listings. So the latest sold copies were yesterday at the time of recording. It's 10/9 today. It's $22 for this card, $22.99, so $23 really. For a 3 of playset of this card, like, that is absolutely insane when the value of this whole deck set is only $42. All of a sudden I have to go and shell out, basically the entire cost plus another $20. So like, what is that? 1.35 times percent of the overall value of this. Like, that is, or 1.5 times the value pretty much of this set just for some playable cards. That is crazy. And believe me, like, this deck over here, if we're going to get into it, I guess let's hop into it right now. It's not the most playable thing ever. This is a cool card. Again, this is more of like Overlord flavor, restand your Vanguard, swing, put pressure on your opponent. Consistent in a lot of ways, a lot more consistent than it used to be, but I don't think that this is a deck that most players will pick up just learning the game or whatever and be able to master and really come to a very playable level. Again, there's a lot of 2-ofs in here, a lot of 4-ofs. There's decent kind of support. Like, I really think the 4-ofs that they included are good. I think that they pretty much were the right ones, all with the exception of this right here. Like, you needed to include that in the deck set, and you kind of failed the player base when you didn't do it. The main deck over here, if you were to take away this prize pack, the main deck I think came out to something like $30 something. Like, it's really not not that expensive at all. A lot of these cards are just, you know, super cheap. Like this is a card, this is a rare, an old rare. What is this over here? Again, this was like a promo. It's been reprinted like 5 times. What else over here? The Baron's a new card, I believe, over here. And again, that's only like 50 cents, but a lot of these cards are super cheap. Things like this, again, super cheap. Just Squalid Freaks was a promo, but again, very cheap. Like it's really not, the value doesn't come from the main deck, which is the issue. It comes from the promo pack. So if you're, again, relying on your product to sell, to carry value, to have weight on the shelves, sheerly through just a promo pack and reprinting old cards like Brainwash Swirler, who was previously, you know, $21, $25 plus, going all the way up to $40 at one point in time. Falcate Performer also was used previously in Chronojet. I'm not sure if it's going back in there. This is, you know, an old triple rare that's not really worth anything. And also just the Gratis Gradel. So again, you're getting the Regalias piece that should have been a little bit more accessible in general. I feel like those things need a rarity drop or something to just going forward become a little bit more accessible to your player base, but you're really relying off of your value pack over here, your kind of collector's pack, expansion pack, to carry the weight of your product. And to me, that's a horrible product design. In games like Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, you can buy 3 of, and then whatever staples they've reprinted, you basically have a playset of that staple. That's kind of tough in Vanguard because obviously there's a 4 of, and on top of that, these aren't priced at the same kind of level as a structure deck. Structure decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, that's pretty much like the best comparison I can kind of get to with these over here. They're priced at $10, $11, $12 most, probably some places, but you're in for $30 to $36, and then you're pretty much fine. You have your playset. These are priced at $42. If I was to go buy 4 of these, I'm spending over $120 for a deck that, again, it sees no meta play. It's not really a viable kind of contender at the moment. I don't think this is a good choice to kind of go tell your friends, hey, look, go pick this up. Like, you'll be good. Now, that's not how this works. That's not how this product is kind of designed, and I don't really know who this is for. This isn't for a new player. This isn't for established players, in my opinion, who are actually serious about the game. If you want to just play it. Like, I'm the last person to judge you. I absolutely love picking up like pet decks, doing that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, this is not going to be a meta shaker or anything like that, and it's really not worth that $120 plus investment just to kind of get this deck up and rolling, in my opinion. So this guy right here, I'm honestly going to give this product an F. It has really cool box, really cool design, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do like a lot that has going on, but again, the inclusion of this right here, that's where you're deriving all your value from this. It's an absolute failure. You cannot do that. That is just, it's a bad product. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And let me know down below if you agree. If you don't agree, if you say that, you know, who cares? It's like a niche deck. This is a niche card. You know, you should be able to pay whatever you want. Like, that's your opinion. Totally let me know. Like, that's okay, I guess. Over here in Orphist, this is an interesting card too, because I think that this pretty much has the most relevance going forward, in that when this gets replaced in about a week or so, or even this Friday, there are some cards that you actually do use from this to go and put it into the new set. On top of that, this is pretty much the most playable out of the box, I want to say. This has like a really kind of cohesive rush play style. You can take games from like pretty much any deck, I want to say, to an extent. That's really not how the meta is shaping up at the moment, but again, you are getting your 4 copies of Orphis Regis, which was an annoying card to get. It was only printed in like a festival collection like 2 years ago. At this point, you are getting some decent cards. You're getting the 4 of the Nuvora, which, if you're going to play the pure variant of this, is good. You take it away, you know, this week when the new Orphis Mask comes out, but you get a good kind of spattering of cards, and this card right here is really good too, and they did include this at a 4 of, which I'm very glad they didn't put this at a 2 of and made you buy multiple copies. This would have been a 6, 7, probably even more kind of costing card at that point, but this is a really decent card. It is used going forward, so it's hard again to kind of look at this in a vacuum, just because this card, this deck, everything is getting replaced in a couple of days, but this is a deck that technically will translate to some meta relevance once that comes out. But again, if you're looking at this in a vacuum, I think that this is, what was this? This was a $67. Yeah, I don't think it's like a terrible value. You're not seeing a ton of value in the expansion pack outside of the Elementary Sanctitude, but I will say that is pretty much the best Blitz order of any of these 3 packs over here, because it's the most used. They use in pretty much every grade 3 deck, which grade 3 decks are kind of running the show at the moment. We'll see after set 13 if that is still the case, but Elementary Sanctitude is a much needed reprint, needed in just like a mainline set at this point, and we haven't gotten it. So if you're new to the game, you want to start out, I think this is like a really kind of straightforward deck. It does what it wants to do. It's very Brandgate in that you have to go get the orders, rush people down, you know, you're making the numbers, thinning your deck, things of that nature. I think it's pretty good. I think it's fun. It's the most fun of any of these 3 3 decks in my personal opinion, and I think it has the most meta relevancy kind of going forward. Only thing I would kind of swap, and I think this is a blanket statement for all 3 of these, is the vanilla draw. If you're not willing to invest in the effect triggers at this point, I will always say just buy, you know, they're like 15, 10 cents or whatever they are, just the front triggers. It's always better to have a 15k shield, in my opinion, than a 5k shield, even if your deck feels like it needs the draw, which I think Orphis definitely draws are correct, but unless you have the effect ones, which I don't know how much they are off the top of my head. If you're not willing to purchase them, just put the fronts in. It is what it is. So overall, this one over here, I'm going to give like a C-, just because in a nutshell, in a vacuum, this deck is not doing anything currently. It's not super competitive. I think that it lacks hand size. It just lacks the pace to go the extra mile that a lot of these decks today in the current metagame need to do. And I don't think that... I think it's pretty playable, but that's really all I could say. Like, there's no insane value. Again, there's no $22 card necessarily outside of the Elementary Sanctitude, which should have been included in all of these deck sets, which is kind of ridiculous. So I'm not going to give them kudos for that. But again, the most expensive card I think here, I think Combine's like $5 or something, could be a little bit less. Advent is like a dollar or so, and these aren't even like super relevant cards at the same time. Like, you can pretty much play with this out of the box, and that might honestly be the most optimal way to kind of do it if you just open this product over here. But again, this is getting replaced in a couple days at the time of release. Next up over here is Graham Grace, and this kind of follows the same mindset of Orphis in that it's not really relevant. Orphis Regis, at least, it's not relevant. This is not a deck that has done anything in the past, 7 months, 8 months that this has been out in English. In Japan, when it first came out, it was okay. We started to see it, but they also got their promos a little bit earlier than us, and that is something I do want to touch on in this over here. So, as you can see, you do have some 4-ofs, some 2-ofs, and whatnot, but they're cards that they should have included, I feel like, add a little bit more. So this is a promo card. Again, not super expensive, but just really annoying that I had to pick up a deck, and then I have to go pick up an extra 2 copies of this. This is Knight of Soaring Blade, Fernbale. This is, it's got 3 printings at this point, but it's just kind of annoying because you need this at a 4 of, in my opinion, to really make the deck work. And again, this is kind of still all in discard from hand, and they only included at a 2 of in this deck. And I mean, I guess I get why, but at the same time, like, if you look at any of the results from back in the day when people were running this deck, they were running it at a 4 of, so I don't understand. This is not expensive promo or anything like that, but at the same time, like, just give us 4 of this and like call it a day. It's kind of annoying. And then the other card that you do need, which one was it? I think it was the Locked over here. Yeah, I think I've seen varying results on this, but like, you run this at like 2 to 3. Some people run it at 4. I don't think 4 is necessarily correct, but this is, again, a card that's only included at 1 of from your expansion value pack over here. And if you look at, I know I said, what is the value overall if you got all the cards in here, $61.21 when I put it together. But if you look at just like the main deck, there's really not like a ton of value in general. Most of your value is getting carried from this stuff over here. So the Carbre, who's now sneaking into a lot of different decks, only has 1 printing. This did get reprinted. This is like $6, $7 in and of itself. The Turnar over here was a little bit expensive, but again, it's only like $1 something, $2. It's not too expensive, but again, you only get 1 of, and that's the card that definitely needed to be, I feel like, in the Graham Grace deck. Therapy Angel, again, another card that just doesn't really have relevance to this deck, but at the same time, just became expensive. So, and the Gratis Grado. So like, most of your value again is coming from that expansion pack. The only one who doesn't have all their value necessarily, and I can't even say that's true because this does have Elementary, and it was the Orphis deck set. And to me, when your whole product is really being carried, maybe by some sleeves, maybe by a box, things like that, like, they are cool. I'm not gonna say they're not. They definitely are, but like, they're not necessary, and they drove the cost of this product up, made it a harder barrier entry for people to buy like 2-3 copies of this, and then like, have that full complete kind of expansion set. When your value is coming from just these expansion packs, like, it's pretty bad. Like, there's not a single deck here that I would point to and say like, yes, if you're new to the game, for $40, here you go, you can get into it. Now, the Stride deck sets did this so much better. Like, they're still to this day pretty playable out of the box, like a couple upgrades here and there. Again, not like a crazy investment or anything like that. And you have still some meta relevant decks. We've seen Messiah top in BCSs up until this point. We've seen Chronojet run rampant all over BCSs. So there is a lot of value in those. And these, I don't know who this product necessarily is for. Again, I wouldn't point to any beginner and say like, yeah, go buy this. to your player who's already established, I guess you're really only looking for the reprints for the value, which again makes this a bad product. So if I was to rate these again, I would say Favrenil is getting a hard F. Like, this is $22, $23, a necessary card in your expansion set. Like, absolutely terrible design, product design. That was in that regard, that is getting an F. This probably a C- just because it is playable out of the box. It's not the worst thing in the world. You know, you could take this to locals and have some fun. You could expect to do pretty decent, but again, it's getting replaced like super quick, and a lot of these cards are used in it, but at the same time, I'm purchasing a deck in order to kind of play it and maybe get used to it. And this 1 week after this releases, it's like a new set is coming out to replace it. That just feels a little funny in general, or work alongside it in a way, but most of those cards are getting replaced. And then Graham Grace, I don't know what, like, I guess this never got support necessarily in like a mainline set, just through really promos and such, and it does get a dedicated ride line now and stuff like that. But these guys alone are like $5, $2 I think for the zero. Like, there's not much monetary value in this overall outside of maybe the expansion pack, and again, it's just not that playable. Like, in a nutshell, if you want to play these decks against each other, sure, that's fine, but I don't know a world in which that is what the purchaser of this product is doing necessarily. This isn't like, you know, go buy some commander decks, precons with your friends, join a precon league, you know, just like a beer league kind of thing. Vanguard doesn't feel like a super, and I feel like this is a bad thing to say, but it doesn't feel like a super casual game in that, you know, let's just you know, have some fun with my friends on a Friday night, crack some like pre-con stuff and like have a good time. Like, you can do that with Magic. I guess you can do that to an extent with Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot of those like 3 times structure deck kind of videos the pack puts out, things like that. But overall, I don't think this is hitting the nail on the head. I think the $40 kind of price range is too much for this. This would have been more suited at a $15 price range where people would buy maybe 3 copies of it, be in for $40, and then you're fine. Like, I would rather have had this in the box than have to go buy a $5 sleeve deck box at the same time and just call it a day. I really think this is a bad product. This one over here is just getting a D, just because I guess you can play it. You finally got some new stuff for the deck in the form of a ride line. It does come with a gratis grad LA, whatever, and like the expansion pack is decent, but again, the fact that they're deriving all of the value from that expansion pack is just terrible. So let me know your thoughts. I know this was kind of like a doom and gloom video. I don't like making these, but I feel like nobody's really mentioning this kind of stuff, and it kind of sucks because just time after time we're getting bad product from this company, and I love this game. I want to say it do well. I want to see them kind of hit their goals of being the #1 TCG company that they've stated, and I don't know, just the past couple products feel absolutely terrible. Maybe I'll make a video on like the Masquerade deck set thing. I think I need to calm down a little bit before I do that, but overall, these are kind of my thoughts on it. I'm going to say stay away from this product, in all honesty, unless you're like brand new, trying to add some stuff to your arsenal. Just have a deck that's like somewhat playable, but at that point too, go check out some budget deck. Go check out like 50 Cards is always running like specials every so often. I'm not sponsored by him or anything like that, but him and Deck Player kind of make that. They make some affordable decks that you can get into the game with. Other than that, go check out your locals, just go talk to people, check out content online, see other avenues to get into the game, because this really is a rough product, especially when, you know, to make one last comparison before I end, the One Piece, the red purple set is coming out, where, I mean, that is like a meta-defining deck set that's coming out for them. 3 different leaders. You know, most of the deck I think is good out of the box. There's a couple upgrades, but really, really needed reprints at 4 of Zoro, Red Zoro at 4 of coming out of the box, things like that. Like, these are cards that were $12, $15 plus being printed at a 4 of, and the product itself is like $50. So that's your competition, and this is what you put out. It feels a little lackluster in my opinion. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you agree with anything, you disagree with anything. Let's all keep it civil, but always love to hear your thoughts. And again, if you are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. This is Alex from Alex CFE signing out.